The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily representative of the coalition or any other entity. This content is intended for mature audiences only.
What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 134. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
That's a damn good cup of coffee.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Real Madrid, La Liga champions, finally.
Brian, what? Let me finish. Brian Manjoma.
One of these days, I will watch Moonlight, but not this day.
And Adam Vale.
On my PC?
Yeah, all right, now you guys should talk shit about football for a quick second.
Goddamn. I mean, you make it seem like they never win anything.
They won the La Liga. They won like 5 years ago, man. That's like half a decade.
Yeah, but they won Champions League. So
Carlos nuts didn't even drop back then, man.
Yeah, man. I was still in high school.
All right, man. Welcome to another episode here. A couple of things here before we start. All right, a quick update on the guy who won our contest. I don't know what the fuck he calls himself on Twitter now. It's Dr. Suckit. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. Crazy Mexican dude. So I got him the Final Fantasy 12 Steelbook edition. That's what he wanted. So
Steelbook edition. That sounds pretty fancy right there.
It is. It's actually less than $60, man.
Oh, okay.
Crazy, right? So shout out to him. Hope he enjoys it. That guy had a really good story about how he became a true gamer and shit. I like that. Now my man's playing RPGs and shit. You know, that's what's up. Oh yeah, no bread action. He's at that tattoo festival thingy or whatever.
Yep, he's whooping it up, doing some tattoos. Well, hopefully he'll have some cool updates when he comes back.
And the joke I said before the show, I'm like, okay, since we don't have Brett here, that means this episode is probably only going to last an hour.
Oh, you're so mean.
Dude, look what happened last time that went, like, we did episode 134, right? 1 hour 15. It's like, what are you guys playing? Because that was going to end the show that quickly, you know?
To be fair, though. Okay. To be fair, there wasn't really like a main topic. Like the biggest news was Destiny, but none of us really care about Destiny.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out about Destiny later on. But yeah, also just gonna say this. Okay, if you guys watch the show since the beginning, you guys know that I drink from my patented metal Dominican cup. I've had these cups since I was a baby. Basically, brought them over and shit. Right? Time for a change, man. I'm drinking from my motherfucking Mega Man cup now. Look at this shit, Adam. I finally got it from Think Geek, man.
Let me see.
This shit is huge.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Is it made of metal too?
What took so long though? Did they say?
It tastes so good. Who knows? No, it's ceramic, man. You know, the inside is red, as you can see. Fits a lot. It's like 26 ounces, which is more than 8 ounces. So
you should look up.
You should boycott them now because you know that they're owned by GameStop, right?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Hey, listen, I bought my Mass Effect wallet from GameStop too. You know, look how fucked up it looks now. I've had this shit since Mass Effect 3.
I had a Gears one, and that one's all messed up.
That's crazy, man. But anyway, without further ado, actually, because I need to say this now because people always forget. If you guys want to ask us questions, you know, for you guys who are watching us live right now, start asking us shit right now. But for everybody else, leave us questions for next week's show in the comment section of this episode here on YouTube or over on the Coalition, like you've always done. Anyway, let's move on. And I want to, return, or wish a happy return to our boy. Final Stage Boss is back, man. Final Stage, you got to ask us more questions, man. We miss you when you're not around, man. Especially quality bait questions like this. All right. He goes, why are some expecting Crackdown 3 to be a huge deal and a huge seller when the first two weren't?
Who's expecting that? That's the thing.
Fanboys. Crackdown 1 was a huge seller.
Why it was a huge seller.
Yeah, because Halo 3 beta, but most people liked it.
No, it was fine. It was the second one that was a piece of crap.
Oh yeah.
It was the same world and they added the zombies and it just felt like, what was it? The studio was having issues. I remember that much. There were some issues with it, and then eventually they said, you know what? We want to make a sequel, but we don't have the time. So they're like, well, let's just change things up in the current environment. So you were in the same world. It was the same game, just with different elements in it. and it just didn't have that feel. So I don't know why people have all these high expectations for 3. It's like when they announced 3, I'm like, okay, that was it. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, wait and see. I mean, I can understand if it was one of those top franchises where they just bang them out from each one. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. No, I don't have really any.
I think it's also like a absence makes the heart grow fonder sort of thing. Like there's always that point where like a series or a film, like a game series or a film goes to a point where everybody hates the shit out of it, right? But then at some point, it reaches that point where like everybody has thinks about all the fond memories except for instead of all the like shitty like memories they had about it. So I think that Crackdown at this point in time has that where everybody remembers like, yeah, I did have a good time with that. All right, let's do that.
See,
but I think
I'm sorry. I say like when you said that absence makes the heart fonder or whatever. See, I thought you were talking about the absence of exclusive games on Xbox One.
No, I wasn't talking about that trolley.
Hey, listen, man, because that's my answer. The reason these guys are hyping up Crackdown 3 like they've never hyped up any of these games before is because there's nothing on the fucking Xbox One. Okay, I'm obviously I'm fucking around, but seriously, there's not a lot of exclusives on there, so you got to hype up whatever big AAA exclusives you have. And supposedly this one has that whole destructible environment cloud computing shit, so there is a genuine reason to be excited about it. But that was the first, obviously, the troll answer was like, yeah, because they ain't got shit to play, they got to hype up everything. But yeah, I think because this Crackdown actually does offer something kind of new, with the whole cloud computing thing, even though, as we've said on this show before, I think that whole thing is like smoke and mirrors. Like, yeah, log off online, all that destructible shit, you won't be able to do it anymore, so but again, Microsoft, they need like a big game like this, so I think that's why people are hyped up. It could sell more than the others. I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, it's not going to have a Halo 6 beta attached to it, but it could still be good.
But the thing is, at the same time, it's essentially just a reboot. Because it's been so long. I'm sure that's like most people don't even remember it. Well, I'm sure most of the crazy Xbox fans don't even have never even played the first one.
Those are the same people that never played a World War II Call of Duty, because it was around that time, way back. So they probably don't even know. They're like, damn, that must be a new franchise.
Is that a new Call? They go World War II? Yo, that's new, son.
I think they're piling behind it because it is just one of those. It's one of those known Xbox exclusives franchises, and I also feel like it also fits what I call the Xbox narrative, which is like, burly dudes who jump around and blow the shit out of everything. So
that is true. I like how you call it the Xbox narrative.
That's what it is. It's the Xbox narrative. Come on.
No, you're right.
Big armor, big muscles.
Yeah, they like that.
Big guns.
Big guns shoots up. Pew pew pew.
No shooters.
That was Sunset Overdrive.
Was it though? It wasn't very bro-ish.
Sunset Overdrive was not bro-ish. If everybody in Sunset,
no, I never said it was bro.
If everybody in Sunset Overdrive looked like Marcus Phoenix and they were grinding everywhere, and like when they grind the rails bend, now that would be very Xbox right there.
No, I'm
like
what I meant with that was that it's more of like a really like a shooter game, because I mean, was it Insomniac? They make like the best freaking weapons of a lot of all these studios, so it's like one of those games where you just shoot shit everywhere.
Oh, no, I see what you're saying, but I think it definitely has the shooting aspects, but I don't think it has like the bro aspects.
No. Yeah, it doesn't have multiplayer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Call of Duty and shit like
that.
Yeah.
Dominate.
Beat the rest.
Yeah, anyway, anybody else want to say anything else about the Crackdown 3s? I get to see. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm excited for it because it's an open world, destructible environment game, so it reminds me somewhat of the Mercenaries franchise, which was canned after pandemic went out.
That's interesting, because to me, I'm like, this seems kind of like a more of a bigger version of like Saints Row 4 with the superhero shit,
Oh, yes, I can see that. But then,
or Saints Row 4 was
this was a difference.
It was a copy of that.
Yeah, Saints Row was a copy of this. But anyway, it's just meant to be like a fun game to just turn off your mind and just have fun with. It's not like a serious, the story will make you think about life and how you view shit. No. It's just like, hey, go blow stuff up as a special aid. It basically is like a superhero
orbs.
It's a superhero game. That's all it is. And those are always fun. Whenever the non serious. So That's why I'm excited.
If you think about it,
so Adam, so Brian, you're telling me this is not Edith Finch, right? It's not going to teach me about life or nothing like that.
No, it's not like Ether 1. You know, it's like, hey, you just go in, just play games, blow stuff up, have fun. It's a good 5-minute game. That's what I say. You know, it's good for 5 minutes. It's good for 4 hours. It's like Just Cause. You know, you can go in, play around for a bit, mess around for a bit, have some shoot fun, and that's it.
The first one was fun. Yeah, people can just jump in and out. Yeah, if you had it enabled for your friends. So then I would have somebody just jump in. And the only crazy thing with it was that if you were different levels, that would impact the gameplay. You know, so just not just on a difficulty level, but let's say if you were a higher level and you could run faster, I could never catch up to wherever you were going unless you put me in a car, carried the car, and went running with the car. You know, there was those type of things where I remember there was one point where everybody was running in and you were jumping on top of the roof and doing this whole battle. I couldn't make it. So then the guy was like, get in the car. I got in the car and he threw the car up on the roof. So then that way I can go and interact. But yeah, stuff like that. It was fun. It was fun. But the second one that's what really killed me because I'm like, I had high hopes for it. I'm like, oh, this will be cool. And it just was boring as shit. You know, so it depends. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this. They had a lot of time. They didn't put that much time into Crackdown 2. So
is it even the same studio?
No, it was a different studio.
No, it was completely different.
All right, moving on here. We got a bunch of questions here, which is good. Now with a couple more. Maximum Graphics. He goes, I have a friend who's basically a non-gamer, and he bought his son, 13-year-old, a PS4. Long story short, the kid and I ended up being PSN friends. Now this kid only plays Overwatch and Destiny. Day in, day out, he only plays those two games. I can't help but think that he is missing out on a lot of games with great narrative and gameplay. My question is, and this may be hypothetical for most of you, would you influence your kids' gaming preferences? I know that none of you guys are fans of these two games, but what if your kid is? What will you do to nudge them towards the Metal Gears, Dragon Ages, Bioshocks, and Soulsborns of the world? Adam, I'm going to you first, since you're the only parent here.
Yeah. I try to get my kid just with Mario and stuff, and she just doesn't see it. She doesn't care. She'll try it out, but then she'll rather watch me play it. I'm like, oh, look, you make the little guy jump and do this stuff. Okay, whatever. You know, all right, here, Mario Kart. Look at this. She's like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, but she doesn't find an interest in him. So I just have to let her just find her own thing and just accept it. You know, it's just the way it is. It's going to be like that with music. I mean, this guy's having the thing with his kid with the games, but I mean, I'm sure the same will go for music. You know, what if I like a lot of rock and classic rock? If my kids grow up and they want just some Beaver and those type of things, what am I going to do? I mean, I could expose her and expose my son, but if they're not feeling it, then I'm not going to force them. You know, so it's the same thing. You can just like, hey, look, these are some other things. This is what I'm playing. You know, it's like, oh wow, okay. Do you like that? No. All right. Well, at least you know it exists. That's all I'm saying. There's other things out there.
Yeah,
I think with some just like people, they also have to kind of find their own way. But you know, you can't always force or be like, hey, here. You know, sometimes you just have to kind of let them figure that out on their own. That's to be honest, that's my ask what I do with Tony. I'll be like, yo, Tony, this is a great game, and you just be like, eh. And then 3 months later, holy shit, that's a fucking good game, man. I don't know where I found this. It just showed up one day and it was great. And I'm like, dude, I gave it to you. I let you see this game months ago. Oh yeah, did that happen? Oh, and I'm like, oh, whatever.
Right. Here's my take on it, because here's what I took away from this, right? Because I noticed that a lot of people, they want others to like whatever they like, and they feel like they need to nudge them in that direction. I wish Brett was here, because I feel he's one of those guys. He kind of gets upset when you don't like what he likes, right? Here's the thing, and before I get to the answer, just give my little story, right? I'm not a parent, but I've had to deal with my sister's kids who are kind of like mine, right? My nephew, right? Ever since he was like a baby, right? Put him on my lap with a controller in his hand, right? All he likes to do is play action games, right? Where you beat people up, he likes that shit. When I try to get him to play Mario or Sonic or Tetris, he wasn't having it. He's like, I want to beat shit up. And I was like, okay, I need to test the theory. Does he just not like old games? We started playing Turtles in Time. He fucking loved that shit. Why? Because he's beating people up. So what you need to do is you can't really nudge somebody into a specific direction. You got to tailor the shit to whatever they like, you know.
Exactly.
So if this kid right here, he obviously likes multiplayer games. He likes he likes competition. He likes to dominate. You got to cater towards that shit. Hey, how about Call of Duty? How about Battlefield? Because the thing is, if you were to, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't put a Metal Gear in his face. Give it a shot. But if he turns you down, don't get upset because it may not be his thing. Like Manny said, you let people find their own shit. Don't force it. You know,
it may be something bigger than that. It may be just maybe he has friends, and that's what his friends are playing. So it's more of a social thing. So
yeah, exactly.
I remember when my brother got a 360, and I was giving him all these games and stuff. Because we did the whole special goodie thing with it, and he was and he was playing just Gears all the time. I'm like, oh, there's all these other games, and he's like, yeah, but this is what my buddies are playing, so we just play that. We do the multiplayer and do Horde and all that stuff. So he was hooked on it because of the multiplayer and his buddies. So those two games he just mentioned, it's big on that. So maybe it's his buddies, and that's maybe he does want to play something else, or he's thinking about it. But that's those are single player most of the time experiences. His buddies aren't playing that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's always what I do when I recommend games to people. I'm like, okay, what kind of games do you like? When I get an idea of what they like, then I recommend it to them. Most people seem to be like, hey, I like this. Let me recommend them. It doesn't work like that, man. Most of the time, they're not going to respond to that.
Like for like, it's not kids, but it's like me and Tony, and like we kind of know what each other likes. So when I heard what was that game, the Firewatch, I said, Tony, you're not gonna like this game.
Yeah, man.
I said with the same thing with what the hell was that one, the one in the house, Gone Home. Yeah, I said, Tony, not gonna like that game.
Hey, and guess what? I didn't like either of those games. Fucking boring.
And I never suggested them either. I never suggested any of those either.
But I'm glad I did play them because now I know definitively I don't like fucking what do they call them again?
Walking simulators.
Walking sims.
Okay, I was gonna ask a question, gonna derail everything. Anyway, keep on answering the question, guys. Chris, let me go to you, man. What do you make of all this?
No, I agree. You gotta. It's nice if your kid would enjoy what you enjoyed, right? That gives you a special feeling, but that more than often won't happen. So I mean, they're an individual; they have their own interests. So you have to try to cater to that. You have to try to pull yourself away. Like, you don't impose what you enjoy on your kids. Like, you don't want to build resentment, at a young age by forcing them to enjoy what you personally enjoy. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. You can introduce it, and if they don't like it, then find out what they like, and maybe you use a reverse approach. Maybe try to understand why they like that game, and you play it. Maybe you'll like it.
This brings up an episode. I don't know if you guys ever watched it. Gene Simmons' Family Jewels. You remember when that was a thing?
Years ago?
Years ago. So there was this one episode. So he has a son. There's one episode. He knows his son can play guitar and stuff, and he's been playing, and he has a teacher and all thing. So they go into the studio, and they're playing a Kiss song, and his son is playing alongside him, and they're doing the whole thing. And then all of a sudden, Gene Simmons just starts crying. And he just stopped and went to the side and waved off the camera, and the whole thing. I was like, "What's going on?" It was like, because it was such a big deal that it's not so much that his son plays guitar, but it's the fact that his son enjoys playing the music that he created and that they're playing it together, and that bond. He was like, that is something, because that's his passion, that's his life, and to know that he created a child and that child is also interested and has that same passion. It's a beautiful thing, and every parent wants that. Every parent wants that. Oh yeah, some of the things the main things I like, I can share with my child because we can bond. But when that doesn't happen, then it's like, what do you do? Some parents push away. That's when you hear about it. It's like, oh, I don't hang out with my kid. My kid does his whole thing with his friends. What is he into? Nothing I'm into, and so I can't bond with him. Well, then someone's gonna have to give. If the kid's not gonna give, then you're gonna have to give.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anybody else want to answer that one?
Yeah, I just guess you don't really like nudge them, but you just introduce them and see what they like and see how they feel to it, and then just adjust to what they like. Because there's no point trying to force people to play games that they don't like, because it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
As Ryan said with Tony, hey, just don't force them play games that Tony doesn't want, because yeah, Tony will just hate it. So yeah, so just like suggest them, or if you guys like playing together, because I don't know if he said that in the question. But if you do like playing games together, then like, hey, I just got this game. Like, I got your copy as well. Like, let's play together sometime. And then maybe he'll like it because you'll be like his introduction into that world. And then like he'll say, okay, cool. You know what? I feel more confident like playing this game like by myself. And then gradually you can do that with games. And then if you guys sit together and play games, then maybe like try like a single player game like the same way. But hey, there's many different ways to approach it.
Like getting to know games these days is so different from when we were kids, man. Like I remember, like, you know, like there was like very little like coverage for games. Like the most of the time you just go to the store and you see the games on the shelf and you look at the back and see what looks cool, you know, stuff like that. Or like me and Adam would be like, you know, Adam would be like, yo, I got this new game. I'm like, okay, what is it? Oh, it's called Metal Gear. Like, let's try it out. All right, that's good. Let's do this, you know.
How gaming was back then, man. It's like whatever you could find, you played. It was hard to get games, you know.
I can't name how many times I was fucking fooled by a cover. It's like, man, look at this awesome ass cover, and I play the game. I'm like, and you also knew if the company wasn't really faithful in their game when they didn't have any pictures on the back of the box.
You remember this one? I was working at Software Etc. And I remember there was a Tony Hawk that knockoff that Sony made. Remember that? And I brought it over to your house. I'm like, yo, we got to play this. Oh man, what was that called? But they made their own version.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the only one that I remember was the Aggressive Endline.
No, I gotta find it. And I remember it was late after work. I went over to your house. I was like, yo, let's play this. It's gonna be good. It was oh man, now I'm gonna.
Was it the Konami skating game?
No.
Konami made like a ripoff, like Tony Hawk was that one time too.
Let's see, it was on PlayStation. It was a PlayStation game.
All right, while you look for that, I'll jump to the next question.
We'll move on to the next one.
All right. Are there things in game worlds that you are more inclined to look at? Things that may be related to your job in real life or things that interest you? I tend to gravitate towards posters and signatures, you know, like a typography or whatever. So yeah, is there anything like, I guess, aesthetically that catches your eye more in video games than anything else?
The style of the game, actually, I find attractive. I mean, granted, a lot of games don't have that much of a style anymore. Most games are kind of going toward, it's all ever since everybody's going toward more realistic things. But I do like it to see when there's a company out there just like, okay, this is our style, and it just doesn't look like a reality. It just looks like that game. And I usually tend to be, gravitate toward those things, or not gravitate, but like, have more interest in something that's deciding to take these things in a different direction,
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, I love the way Guilty Gear looks. I love the way Rhyme looks. It's a really nice looking game, kind of an animated look. I like seeing those sorts of things where they're kind of trying to do something a little bit different with the medium rather than try to make people look as realistic as possible.
There we go. Found it. Grind Session.
Oh, Grind Session.
Yeah, anyway, guys, jump in.
I don't know. For me, it's always been like nature. Nature always attracts me when it comes to video game worlds. Like, for example, Horizon. Like, I can just play the game running around and looking at the trees and running around bushes and stuff like that. That kind of stuff like gets my attention more than anything.
I feel like it also has to do with what's out there, because I mean we have so many games that are like, it takes place in a post-apocalyptic city that's blown up and everything's rubble. At least like with a game like that game, or with some other ones where they're trying to do these kind of natural environments, which are actually a lot harder to do than Broken Cities.
Yeah, they are. That's why do you think why do you think you see so many Broken City games? That's easy to make.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I don't really know how to answer this question. Like, I don't know. Like, I just like games that look good, But that's so subjective because looking could be realistic, it could be stylized. I don't know. I don't know how to answer this question. I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
I like good looking shit.
Here's one thing: you gravitate toward games that are more futuristic than medieval.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's funny you say that because I was thinking like space shit. I like that, you know.
Yeah, like
If you put me
sci-fi
in a
shit.
space station- you put me in a space station, I'm happy as a motherfucker.
There you go.
You know?
Would you?
Okay, so,
Here's the question: would you have bought Horizon Zero Dawn if it was actually like that, where it was just like you're fighting? Well, no, if it was you were fighting dinosaurs, you'd be even more interested.
Well, here's the funny. Yeah, I'm funny. You know, it's funny you mentioned Horizon Zero Dawn because I was playing the game and I was already loving it. And then those dungeons they have in the game, I forgot what they're called. It's all super sci-fi. I'm like, okay, this is the fucking shit now because that's the kind of stuff I like. Mechanical looking stuff, you know.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I was very happy when that happened. When I found the first one, I'm like, yo, is this a motherfucking spaceship? That's the first thing I thought. I'm like, aliens.
Like game of the year. There we go. I like that shit. Even when I was playing Prey, even I don't like Prey too much. When I finally got to that one part in the space station where you see Earth and the moon, it's like, yo, this is crazy right now, you know? But like, don't get me wrong, I like nature shit too. Like, when you get to the top of a mountain, you see the vistas, that's cool, but it doesn't hit me as much as like, robotic shit. Like, yeah, like Chris, like, yo, am I in a spaceship right now? This is insane. I love that shit, you know?
Yo, when I was playing Horizon and I went in one of those spaceships, I was like going around, man, and I was like looking at shit and like there's no one there, there was nothing there, it's all like dead and stuff. And then I look at the fucking Bluetooth scope shit, I forgot what it's called now.
Yeah.
And then I just like see like at the distance something, I see like, what the hell is that? It's like behind a wall, and then I put my cursor on it, and then it says human. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I don't know. I still couldn't get to it. Like, I still don't know what the hell that is.
I don't know. Interesting. Mysteries. All right. Brian, what about you, man? What catches your eye in games?
How much stuff I can blow up and how well it blows up each time. Because, like, back in the PS2 games, the games that used to blow up, they used to blow up in, like, the same way each time.
Yeah.
But now I was hoping that with the next generation of like consoles, we get like better stuff that blows up. So hence why I tend to lean towards games that like every time I play the game, it like plays slightly different because things blow up in like a different way. So it's mainly that and games that allow me to approach situations in the way that I want, but not in the typical like stealth way or all guns blazing. Like no, I like trap people and like make traps for people. Hence why I loved Dishonored, because there were like so many ways to like, do like the same thing. It's like, okay, cool. I could just go in there and like kill everyone. Or what I could do is like summon these rats, attach like a trap mine to these rats, like lure the rats to the guards and have the trap mine like explode. Why? That's the thing. But yeah, it's just games that allow freedom and games that allow me to blow up stuff. Hence why I love Just Cause. Giant robots.
Yes. Again, I like mechanical shit. You put a robot in the game, I'll be happy. I'm like, wait,
and there was both in Just Cause 3.
Yeah.
There was robots.
That's right. All right. Anybody else?
Fun open worlds, stuff that I can relate to in a weird way, like something that catches. Like I'm big into period pieces, so I like LA noir and stuff like that. Sci-fi is great. I love sci-fi, but it's just got to be an interesting story. I'm big into story.
Well, you can't like visually though. We're talking about right now.
Well, that's it. Visually, it has to be an interesting story with visual, like a period like LA Noir. I mean, that could have been a crime drama anywhere, but that period, the 50s, that was pretty cool. So it had the aesthetics and the fact that it was in that world, in the map with real landmarks and stuff. That was fun. I enjoyed that one.
Cool. All right. Moving on here, Mr. G Megaforce 123. All right, he needs some help on this one, people.
What's going on?
So he goes, is it worth turning my store-bought desktop PC into a gaming PC? He goes, I got this HP desktop PC model P7 1210 with Windows 7 64-bit back in 2012. Wondering if it's worth the hassle to upgrade it to play modern games. My PC specs are processor AMD A6 3620 APU, graphics card AMD Radeon HD 6530D, graphics 6 gigabytes RAM, and CPU speed 2.2 gigahertz. Man, just get a new shit.
Yeah, you would have to, at those specs, you would have to get a new one.
Yeah, get a new one.
Yeah, the only if you I mean, here's the thing: if you did want to upgrade it, you'd have to check to see what current hardware is compatible with your motherboard. At what, you know, there is a point of no return, you know, and at that point in time, you know, especially also with your power supply, at that point in time, if you're going to store you're placing your motherboard, your and all that stuff that's inside of your computer, at that point in time, it really isn't worth it. You might as well just buy a new gaming PC.
Yeah, exactly. So the motherboard is for AMD systems because it's using an AMD CPU.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to use an Intel, you couldn't use it on that motherboard. And I'm assuming that the RAM is DDR3. So like if you wanted to get DDR4, it wouldn't be compatible with a motherboard. And also, like just thinking about heat, and the case might not be efficient, or it might not be big enough for a new motherboard with the graphics card you want.
The power supply usually that comes stocked in these standard PCs is usually the crappiest one. It's like a 250 watt, maybe 300. You need at least a 500 watt. You know, so you're gonna have to invest in a power supply, and then you have to see the power supply is a big key with all of that.
So when we have all these variables that like we've been discussing that probably won't like be compatible, then it's more than likely you should just get a new rig.
Yeah,
build one. I suggest building one. I'm building one later this year, and it's fun. Even if you don't know how to do it, it's a fun experience trying to figure out how to get everything to set up the ins and outs of actually building a new PC. And you feel good. You're like, man, I build this shit, man. It feels good.
Though nowadays it's a lot easier to build a pretty decent PC, you know, than it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about jumpers.
You don't have to go to Circuit City and find out the you know,
jumper cable. You don't have to worry about soldering memory to your motherboard and screwing up and putting too much solder. God
damn. Yeah, so I'm guessing everybody is in agreement with this one, right? Get a new fucking
PC.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, so let's move on here. Next question. This is a good one too. When's the last time you completed a game without reading or hearing a single review for it? Have you ever tried taking a chance with a game without knowing if other people thought it was good or not? Unfortunately, it's hard not to do. I don't remember the last time I jumped into a game. Wait, let me finish the fucking question. All right. I don't remember the last time I jumped into a game without any precaution. Yeah, I don't remember. What about you guys? Have you ever taken a chance on a game in that way? What was your experience like? All right, Adam, go ahead. Since
everybody has. Grand Theft Auto. Come on now. Grand Theft Auto. When I knew Grand Theft Auto 4 was coming, I didn't even think about it. I was like, I gotta get it. I knew it was gonna be Liberty City. That's fine. That's it. I didn't need to see a review. I didn't need to see trailers. I just knew it was gonna be hot.
For me, it was like the Metal Gear games, because I remember the original Metal Gear games, and I knew I was going to buy those. I mean, to be honest, for a lot of games, I don't actually read very many reviews. I kind of like the content. I'm usually good at kind of telling what I'll like and not like. There's only a couple of times where I fall into those pits, you know, like Castlevania Lords of Shadow, where it was like a well-reviewed game, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll get that too. So yeah, for the most part, I don't actually look at too many reviews, but look at any really reviews of games that I want. I kind of have a good spider sense when it comes to this sort of some of this stuff. Like I kind of knew Mass Effect was going to be a clusterfuck, and it felt like it was going to be a clusterfuck somehow. You know, I get this weird feeling right before like these things. I'm like, I don't know about this one. So
I'm with Manny on that one. I have a good spider sense because every time I didn't listen to it, I fucked up and I regretted it. You know, here's the thing. For me, it's a little complicated, right? I actively stopped looking at reviews of any kind about 5 years ago when Manny and Chris and I, you know, and Adam too, we started Cool Stuff to blog, you know, because I'm like, okay, these game reviews are affecting my review of this game. I can't read them. But then when I got off reading reviews, I'm like, I don't really need these things. I'm a pretty good judge of just knowing what games are like. And like Adam said, if it's the game in a franchise you like, you're automatically gonna buy without you know, even like knowing you don't need it. Yep. And then also in my case, I sometimes get games early, right? Like for review and stuff. I don't know what anybody else thinks, you know. So I definitely completed them, and that's gotten me into trouble with sometimes. So I remember Far Cry Primal, I gave it a higher score than all the other sites did, and then I got accused of being paid off, which was hilarious. But I was justified in that because the game was a hot seller last year. All the gamers liked it, you know. As the reviewers were like, "Oh, it's just another Far Cry in prehistoric times." You know, these snooty fucking journalists and shit. I'm not one of those guys. I'm like, dude, this game is crazy. I get to ride a fucking saber-tooth tiger, and I get to Chuck Spears. 10 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10. You know how I do, man. But yeah, I've said this shit on Throwdown so many times. Don't pay attention to review scores. Review scores are fucking bullshit. You know, like if you could find somebody whose reviews you kind of agree with, that's fine. But don't be like a slave to them. If you think about it like this, if I was a slave to review scores, right, I'd be buying Call of Duties every year because they always get 9 out of 10s. But I don't like military shooters, you know. So you gotta find people that you align with if you need that. But see, here's my question though. That spider sense that me and Manny have, is that learned or is that something you're born with? Because I think you may be born with. I don't think you could actually nurture that. You know, I just know what the fuck. What do you think, Chris?
I think you nurture that because I think our experience with games, we know pitfalls. We've bought that game, like Manny mentioned Castlevania. We both bought that game and we bought it on brand, right? And we realized what a fucking piece of shit it was. Like, so we're not going to fall in that trap again. We'll be more cautious. But we've all been buying games a long time. We've all seen the pitfalls of just buying off brand or trusting a creator blindly and just getting the next thing. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So we've been through all those pitfalls. So that's where our intuition's built off of that, you know? So we could see that coming when it repeats and we avoid it.
I think you're right. I think maybe that instinct was actually honed over decades. You know, you may be right about that.
after getting games based on the covers.
After going into the Sears catalog, like, hey, I like that cover.
Yeah. You know, when I realized I had that gamer instinct with the Dreamcast around that time, like, okay, that's when I recognized. I think I recognized that as far back as like the original Tomb Raider. I'm like, I saw it in EGM. I don't know what the fuck it was. I'm like, that looks cool. I'm fucking buying it. And Tomb Raider is still one of my favorite games of all time. You know, so yeah, you know, if you I guess just trust your instincts on it. You know, don't overthink it. Just go with it. You know.
Well, one thing
whenever I thought I fucked up, I was like, hey, I like, you know, a game about stunts sounds pretty cool. I'll check that out. Stuntman fucking sucked.
Yeah.
You know, and then was it Driver? I was like, yo, it's Grand Theft Auto in England. That's gotta be dope. That game was trash. The game was trash. You know, so you gotta trust yourself. It's like Tony, don't buy that fucking game. Don't buy that game. Like, but it's Grand Theft Auto. You know, nope. Fuck that. Right. So yeah, most of us in this podcast don't really rely on reviews like that. I tend to
look at the review after I've already been playing the game to kind of see what the usual suspects think about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like, I've already invested in it. I'm not looking for them to help me make a buying choice, you know?
Yeah, exactly. All right.
And to be honest, a lot of the magazines and stuff like right now, everybody's on this kind of high horse thing, and I really don't like that. You know, just kind of tell me how the game is. Don't, you know, don't fucking tell me how the politics of Asia affect the topics that are. Come on, guys, just give me the game. Tell me.
Exactly.
I can't think of the last game, but I can think of the game that made me stop looking at review scores in general, which was ironically Lost Planet 2, because like that game got like really mediocre, like 5s and 6s, and I was like, okay, cool. You know what? Because there was a time when I was like a younger me, and I didn't have enough cash to buy like all the games I wanted, so I had to choose between Borderlands 1 and Lost Planet 2. So of course I did what you expect, which is look at the review scores. I went to IGN, went to GameStop, went to Game Trailers, like all the sites that anyone would expect like a teenager to do like back then. And then I was like, okay, cool. So Borderlands gets like a higher review score, so that's the better game, quote unquote. So I went through, played it. I was like, okay, it was fun. This was back when I didn't have the internet so much, so I played most of it solo. So I think that may have tainted my experience with it. But either way, I finished it. I'm like, okay, cool. That game was all right, but I still like the look of Lost Planet 2. So I went in, I got Lost Planet 2, and I played like hundreds and hundreds of hours off that game, like non-stop. Like that was like my game of the year for like so many years. And then at that point, I was just like, why am I listening to these guys? Like, why not just buy the games that I want? And then since then, it's always just been, I don't look at review scores. If I see a game that I like, then I'll just buy it. Like that's the way it is.
You guys want to know a game that my Spider Sense went, a couple of my Spider Sense games went off on. First, okay, obviously it was no, that one I liked. I knew I was gonna like The Order. What was it? The Saboteur.
Oh yeah.
I thought that originally when I saw stuff for that game, I was like, man, that game looks interesting. I want to go for that. And then I was like, wait a minute, something's wrong here. All right, I'm not going to buy it. And that got a bad review, and that one's pretty bad. One that I knew that I was going to like was Mass Effect. I was also that instantly set something off. I'm like, And then there's also like I can't remember some other crazy ones too that are just like, I don't know, something's wrong here. So yeah.
All right. We're moving on here to Mr. Slinging Slasher. Now, before we answer his questions, I want to address something, right? And it's okay. He was very respectful about this, right? But he was kind of upset over the fact that nobody on the show cared about Destiny 2.
Oh yeah, I've got a lot of feedback on that too.
So again, he kept it mad respectful. He was fine, right? But again, this goes back to what I was saying. Just because somebody doesn't like something that you like doesn't mean you have to get upset about it. I'm noticing this is a problem with society in general, right? Not talking about you specifically, but like people seem to get really like offended when somebody doesn't like think like they do or like what they like. I don't really understand that. Like if you were to come to me, people have come to me, yo, I like Destiny. I'm like, okay, great, fantastic. But every time, hey, I don't like Destiny. What? How dare you? You know, it's like, okay, why are you getting upset? You don't see me getting upset. I don't give a fuck. You can come with me right now. I don't like Metal Gear. Okay, you're lost. Sure. Whatever, you know. But other people, you can tell them the same thing. I don't like Metal Gear. What the hell is wrong with you? You know, like I don't understand that.
Yeah, so whenever I suggest the game Metal Gear, I usually, especially if it's somebody I know, I usually try to preempt that a little. I'm like, you know, but I don't. Again, it's like it doesn't. It's okay for you. I know that Metal Gear is not for everybody, and I'm not going to suggest it to everybody. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to what we were saying before. You don't like recommend shit to people based on what you like. You recommend shit based on what they like, you know. And that's, you know, I had a nice back and forth with them in the chat and stuff in the comments. So I told him, it's like, listen, dude, you know, okay, yes, we could play Destiny 2. Most of us probably will play the beta at least, but that's not the type of game we really like on this show. So you got to understand that even though it may have a lot of improvements, it's probably not going to be for us. So, you know, you can't. I know you're not upset or anything, but you just got to understand that, you know, that's not the type of shit most of us here like. You know, like, hey, Adam may end up like he likes those kind of games, but me, I'm good.
I watched that. It was like 20-minute first mission or whatever that they showed, the campaign mission. I was like, all right. I mean, but I don't know. It's, you know what it is? It's the grind. I know that I'm going to be going this shit out. Problem. And
you know, this dude said he put over 1,000 hours into this shit. So it's like, okay, that's fucking beautiful that you did. But me, like, okay, I know you played literally 10 times more than I have. I only put 100 hours into it. But if I were to play as much as you, it wouldn't make me like the game any better, man. You know, because that's not the shit I'm into, you know?
Like, for example, here, I think I'm the only one that likes MOBAs.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody else. I think you hate MOBAs. So like,
I don't understand the point. It's like, what the hell is this shit? You know, like MOBA. You know what? I was about to go off on a tangent about MOBAs, but I don't like MOBAs. But yeah, but the thing is, you don't. Are you upset, Carlos? Are you like hurt that I don't like MOBAs? You don't give a fuck.
Nah, I'm more upset that you don't like Moonlight or you don't want to watch Moonlight, but that's about it.
I'm not into that shit. Again, what do I like? I like action. Like, are those gay guys running around shooting people? Then I'll watch the movie. You know? But if it's just a bunch of dudes talking and shit, what the fuck am I gonna watch that for? You know?
Yeah. Again, you're not gonna. Tony's not the guy you friggin' suggest to see the Joy Luck Club. Sorry.
Exactly. It's like these dudes trying to recommend walking simulators to me. Get the fuck out. I'm not, that's not the shit I'm into, man. It basically, if I wouldn't watch it as a movie, or like, I'm not gonna play it as a game, and vice versa too. If I wouldn't play it as a game, I wouldn't watch it as a movie. You know, I need action. That's the type of guy I am. You know, I need action with a good story. Just a good story alone won't be enough, you know. But you could have action and a shitty story, Batman versus Superman. You know how to get you with that, Carlos.
But yeah, like I put over 1,000 hours in Heroes of the Storm, but I don't talk about it on this show because like no one else likes that kind of game, and Brian has played over 1,000 hours in Warframe, and he kind of talks about it sometimes, but not as much like as other games, you know. So we kind of just talk about what everyone in general kind of likes, unless it's like a question about what particularly we like. But also, like, for example, I'm gonna play Destiny 2. I'll tell you if I like it or not when the game comes out. I don't know if Adam's gonna play it.
I don't know. I need to know more. I need to know like the structure of it because I'm not sure if I'm gonna. That's the thing. You have to put a lot of time into that game.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not sure if I want to do all that and try to level up to get the light levels and all that.
Sure, but you know what's going to happen, right? I'll play the multiplayer as I need to, finish off the story, and then never touch it again. That's it. See, with Destiny, I just want to play the story. I don't really care about the grinding shit, you know? I'm not a competitive gamer, guys. You got to understand that. I don't know why it's so hard for some of you to understand that. That's not the shit I'm into. I like story, you know, with some fucking action, you know? Yeah. But like multiplayer is just nothing but fucking action. Where's the story at, you know? But yeah.
Take me on a journey, game.
Anyway, let's answer this man's questions. Okay, do you think gaming as a whole this is a very interesting question. And let me finish the question, by the way. Let me finish it. I know you guys are gonna go crazy. Okay, do you think gaming as a whole is being held back by PC, consoles, or neither of them? For example, maybe if console gaming was the only way to play, maybe there would be more games since developers wouldn't have to spend time optimizing for the PC. Or maybe if PC was all there was, there would be more successful indie developers. Very interesting question. I like this one. If we had an award for best question of the week, you would get it. So what do you guys think? What's really holding gaming back? PCs or consoles? Or neither of them holding it back?
Neither.
I agree.
They're all caveats to present gaming, like the gaming platform, to a certain individual or group of people. Like, for example, you have games that are exclusively to PC and would only come out for PC, but they wouldn't come out for Xbox or PlayStation. But then there's games that would only come out because like Sony wants to release it on their console. Like, for example, Horizon. It's like a first-party game. That game would not come out on PC ever if a PlayStation didn't exist. So how can you say that PC, like the console, is holding Horizon back when it wouldn't even have come out if there wasn't a console to begin with?
That's a great point.
I think the one, you know, if we're talking about like the situation of holding back, it might be the when they do those multi-platform games. If you're looking for, but the thing is that at the same time, it's like it's obviously they're not going to look as good on the PlayStation version or the Xbox version, but who was expecting that?
I think they both push each other forward. That's what I think. PC, obviously, from a technological standpoint and the indie standpoint, it helps consoles push over. Then consoles, they have those big, action adventure games and stuff that you don't normally see on PC. So they definitely help each other forward. You know what I'm saying? Now, because consoles, being what they are, now you have more console-like options on PC, like controllers and shit. I was talking about Blackstar, right? He was telling me a Mass Effect 3, a game that didn't come out that long ago, didn't even have controller options at launch, right? So think about how much we've evolved. So I think they both help each other. I don't think each one is holding the other one back necessarily. I think they help each other out more than anything. Brian, I know you got an answer to this one, man. What do you say?
I actually think that it's a mixture, but predominantly it's the wider audience as a collective. And in that sense, I mean, it's people that make games for the wider audience. Because if you notice, like games that tend to be like marketed as like, hey, this game is like aimed as like an easy entry, like it's for everyone, blah 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 blah. They tend not to be as memorable as ones like your Dark Souls. Like when Dark Souls was made, like it wasn't made with like in the mind of like, hey, let's make everyone enjoy this game. It's like, hey, you know what? We have a audience of games, and let's make a game that caters to these people. That's all I have.
All right, all right.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
that's like all it is. It's just like games that are made for quote unquote the wider audience, because those games tend to be. Well,
I think
like it's those games that tend not to be that innovative, because like they just tend to be like, hey, let's
you gotta give us examples now, man.
Examples.
Yeah, because if these games are like what's holding the industry back, there must be tons of them, and you could easily cherry pick them out, of the line.
Okay, let me have a look. See, I guess.
So Angry Birds would be better on if it wasn't developed for the kids.
No, I mean like games that tend to lack in like interesting mechanics. They tend to be the ones that are like, hey, let's make this game for everyone type thing.
Yeah, but again, we need examples, man.
I will think of examples very shortly. I'm kind of
all right. While you do that, Chris, jump in here, man. What do you say?
I think more than anything, the industry trips over itself, especially at the top levels. Like what drives the industry, especially publishers and AAA titles, is just where the money is, right? So that's where we have most of the problems. That it's not a platform that is a majority of the issue. It's somewhat. And the majority of the issue is like churning out a franchise until it's like run into the ground. We're at 2 Call of Duties a year. We're still on Battlefield, and then you have Battlefield clones like Battlefront, and you have just these churned out franchises. Just things just repeat over and over again, and they don't innovate because they don't want to take risk. They just want to maximize profits. So that's where I think, if you're talking about stifling innovation in terms like console and PC, no, the innovation is stifled at the top because these guys just want what sells. So they'll just pay for what sells, and they just guide their studios to make a repeat of what they made before.
The reason why we have all these remakes of movies, same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also the safe bet too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it worked before. It worked now. You heard they're bringing the Gong Show back.
Oh,
yeah.
Wasn't that already the one with Simon Cowell? Wasn't that already the Gong Show?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
What that X Factor show?
American Idol? That's essentially the Gong Show.
Oh, well, then there's America's Got Talent.
That's also the Gong Show too. So I mean, it's like, well, you just took those two things that are ripoffs, and now they're just bringing back the real one.
Yep. Anyway, Brian, any examples?
Recent incarnations of Assassin's Creed. That's the first one to come to my head. Majority of recent incarnations of Call of Duty as well, because anyone that has played like the first 2, I think up to, I want to say the big red one. I don't know if that was number 2 or number 3. I can't remember. Anyway, also people that have played the original Battlefield and Battlefield 2 compared to Battlefield 3 and 4. There's definitely a weird difference between the two. So it's mostly the majority of AAAs coming out this generation. Not all AAA games, just the majority of them. There are some games that do like stand outside from the zones, like, hey, we are games for this type of people. Whereas homogenous games, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. It's just there on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, it's there, but I can't remember where it is, but there. Yeah, homogenous games. And as Chris aptly said, like these are the games that are built to sell numbers, and that's all they are. Like they're not built to like really like, hey, let's try something different. It's like, hey, let's just sell you a game and that's it, and call it a day. Or let's just get your $60 and call it a day. I want to say Destiny, but then the guy will get like quite mad at me. So guess what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Destiny.
Right, the game for everybody. Right. Anybody else want to go?
Yeah, if there was ever an answer, it's more the industry is what holds games back more than the particular consoles.
Yeah.
PC.
All right. What the hell are we now? Oh yeah. He just snuck this one in today. This is a funny one. What is your worst gaming experience? Another kind of broad question, but you guys can take it wherever you want.
Buying the Atari 7800, realizing it wasn't backwards compatible, and that the game sucked and the controllers barely worked. I took that shit right back to Toys R Us, like 2 days later.
Oh shit.
Oh shit. Yeah, man. For me, I think I mentioned this before. I bought for the N64. I bought a Sub-Zero game.
Sub-Zero.
Expecting a freaking fighting game, but it was this like.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yes.
It's a story game, right?
It was a story game, and it was horrible.
With platforming, like you're playing the fighting game, but you have to jump over.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I remember
stupid.
that shit.
Yes, man. I'm like, yo, man, when do I? Because I'm a kid when I'm playing it, but I'm expecting a fighting game, and I'm like, yo, when do I get to fight? Like, when do I get to like the fight stuff? Never got to it, man, and I couldn't return it, so I had to keep that damn game.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really think of any like. I mean, yeah, I guess buying, like there's some of the shit I talked about, fucking buying Getaway or crap like that. Playing Lords of Shadow was a horrible gaming experience.
Hey, at least I saved you the pain of playing it by letting you borrow it. But I'm like, yeah, dude. I said, dude, if you want to play this game, here's the thing, it sucks. I was forcing myself to play it. You can play it if you want, but
yeah.
That's one of the recent games that I sold too.
Resident Evil 6 was a horrible gaming experience. Shit fucking game.
On behalf of a lot of us in this room, the Red Ring of Death was one of the worst, man.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Well, I can't really imagine. Well, I can kind of imagine it because my PlayStation did eventually conk out.
Yeah, PS. By the way, I talked about that on Twitter today. I was like, everybody always talks about Red Ring of Death and all that. Nobody talks about Yellow Light of Death. All of our fat PS3s fucking died, man.
Oh, mine still works.
Really? That's the real one.
It just sounds like a fucking vacuum, but but it still works.
That shit is crazy.
Yeah, mine doesn't work. Dead.
I fixed mine one last time because I wanted to suck all the information off of it.
Oh, so. I did that. I did the whatever the
dryer or whatever. So it still sits underneath my thing there, but it's I'm never gonna turn that thing on ever again.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Xbox One for me. That was it. Because
I
mean, I was an Xbox guy. That was it. Original one, 360, Xbox One, pre-ordered. I was hyped. The day off or when that got delivered, set it up, played it, and I was like, okay, this is not what I expected. But I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and then I just kept having issue after issue after issue. All the cool features they took out of the OS. Then I came across an issue that's still going on. I have a buddy who's constantly playing, says it's still an issue, where when you get an achievement that pops, it's in slow-mo. And it comes in real slow, and then it's off. And he was like, "Oh yeah, they tell you that you have to shut down completely and then restart the Xbox One, and then it'll fix it. But then it comes back later, so it's some kind of caching issue that's happening on it, and they haven't fixed that yet.
It's kind of like that thing that happened with Ori and the Blind Forest on that one too, right? Where that game was running slow if you ran it a certain way, right, Tony?
Yeah, Ori. I don't remember having any problems with that.
Was it Ori? It was some game that you were playing. It was a game that wasn't supposed to be like glitchy and
Record.
Yeah, it was. No, it wasn't Record. It was Ori, dude.
I don't
you were having issues with it. Remember, you were like the game doesn't run right, and then you had
Ori
to like.
Was fine. What are you talking about?
Oh no, okay. Coming back from sleep mode. That's what was your problem.
Oh yeah, that's the Xbox problem.
Yeah.
That's the X. Right. It was happening when I was playing Ori, but it wasn't Ori's fault. It was Xbox's fault. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a hard. It's just an annoying game. Yeah, I can't really say I've ever had like a horrible gaming experience. I've never like lost all my fucking memory or anything like that. That would have been devastating. You know, no, not really. You know?
Shout out to Barry Byrne. He says, "Does working at GameStop count?"
I guess. Oh, man. He used to work there.
Yeah, that worked there. It was all right.
Kristen used to also work there too. So he could tell you some stories.
Yeah, anybody else?
You know, I have to say the worst gaming experience I've had is playing Castlevania Lords of Shadow. It just was that bad.
That game, man.
Like it was just the worst thing, you know, because you hate my biggest issue with stuff is that when the game starts to become work, and that game became work, it wasn't like, okay, you're going to all these different locations, but it wasn't really fun what we were doing. So it just really put me off on that game, and obviously because I don't like to leave games unfinished. So I wanted, you know, because again, you know, at the time I'm not making great amounts of money. I'm making decent money at the time, but I at least wanted to get my money's worth of it before I decided to freaking sell that shit off.
Yeah, no, you got to beat it. You know, that's what when we with a Knack and Killzone Shadowfall. It's like, these games fucking suck, but I bought them. I got to finish them. You know.
Yeah, I never. And the thing is that for those games, I never experienced those games because I knew I wasn't gonna like either one of those games. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna buy a PlayStation 4 this time. So I kind of skipped those.
Yeah, with me again, I went against my better judgment. I was like, Tony, I don't know about those games. I was like, I got nothing else to buy, and look what happened.
I even told you, I'm like, why bother, dude? You're buying these games that you wouldn't even normally play. Maybe Knack.
Yeah, that was
Killzone. No.
Killzone.
At least that Killzone.
Yeah. Anybody else horrible gaming experiences?
Yeah, I've mentioned this before too. I asked for a week off of work when the Master Chief Collection was coming out, and I played like one match, maybe like half a match that whole week. So oh boy, yeah, man, that was probably one of the worst, probably the worst actually.
Oh shit. By the way, SBS Pete, whatever the fuck your name is, I'm reading your private message. We'll talk later on. That's a very interesting request there. I never heard of any of this shit you're mentioning here, by the way. All right, moving on here. Black Metal Gamer. All right, he goes, this generation has had very few compilations besides Rare Replay and Atari Flashbacks Volume 1 and 2. What compilations would you like to see? I want Konami to release a compilation of all their shit. How about that? Their own stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Well, it depends on the compilation that he's talking about. Like, he's talking about publisher ones, right? Because, I mean, we've seen series, like, we've seen, like, the Uncharted ones. We've seen the BioShock ones, you know, where it's a bundle. Everything's built in. You know, it's got its own little menu system.
A lot of people were expecting a Final Fantasy collection.
Yeah, that never came. I would love that, like a compilation of the first 6 Final Fantasy games, the 8-bit ones, or the 8-bit / 6-bit ones, but not with that 3D bullshit. I want like updated sprites, like they did on PSP. That's the shit I want.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah,
you don't want the DS one. The DS one was actually quite well done.
I know it is, but I like them because here's the funny thing: is Final Fantasy 4, which is your favorite Final Fantasy, right, Manny?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, they have it on 3DS and it was 3D, right? But I like the one that was on PSP with the updated sprites. Mm-hmm. Fucking awesome! That's what I like, you know.
I liked both of those, but I liked kind of the somewhat new experience of experiencing the game with the kind of voice acting and all kinds of other stuff. So it was like that sort of game given the kind of modern treatment, which that's exactly what that new Final Fantasy is going to be. Final Fantasy 7. They're not going back. They're not going back to text and shit. You know,
it's all voice and everything. Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. Obviously, I never played the original Final Fantasy 4, so to me it was brand new. I'm like, I want to play with the old graphics, you know, or 16-bit graphics,
semi original graphics.
Because the thing is, because they still threw in some 3D effects in there too, you know.
And they also added CG cinematics; those weren't in the originals.
Exactly. But yeah, what other actually, let's go to Chris. Chris, what compilation would you want? Remember, like from a publisher or something?
Besides Konami, I can't really think of one. This is a lot. Like Capcom has released multiple ones. I have Sega's. Remember on PS2,
Ooh, that was a good
Mhm.
one. Yeah, the
PS3 they
PS3
had
one.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got
so I
that
have.
platinum.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Capcom has had plenty. So, and Namco Museum I've never bothered with because I ain't going back that far.
Yeah, right.
I
And
think I
got
have that one.
yeah, and I got a bunch of retro stuff, so I really need that. Like, besides like having all of Konami's old titles, like all the Contras and all the Castlevanias, and then some of their more obscure stuff and all the Metal Gears in one collection that I could just choose from and pick. I don't know. I can't really think of it. Maybe Sunsoft, if they could pull all their shit together. Who the hell owns it?
I don't know. I know Konami owns quite a bit of studios now. They own Hudson.
Oh, okay. Well, and it's back to Konami's. If they got all that stuff, Sunsoft had great games. Remember Batman on NES, and that stuff. They had great shit.
Yeah. By the way, I'm just gonna say this now. SBSP12. I'm looking at your request. That's not really up our alley, man. He wants me to rant about some guy I've never fucking heard of. Why am I gonna start beef with some dude, some other YouTuber I just learned exists? You know? So no, sorry, buddy. That ain't happening. I'll tell you guys about it after the show. It's like, why would I rant about it? I don't give a fuck. You know, Crap Gamer, I'll rant about him because he's obviously that's in my wheelhouse gaming. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. You know? Anyway, where the fuck are we? Okay. Would you like to see VR tackle classic arcade gaming? Imagine going into a cockpit arcade cabinet of classic Star Wars, Spy Hunter, or Cruis'n USA, or imagine going to a Bally pinball arcade as a VR sim and gaming experience. What do you think of this concept? Before we even go, what the fuck is Bally pinball?
Bally's used to produce pinball machines.
Yeah.
All those licensed pinball machines, like Star Trek, the pinball game, and Jurassic Park, the pinball game, Terminator pinball. They're a company that produced pinball machines.
Yeah, I think I just showed my knowledge of pinball games. Like, what the fuck is
I think I also think at the same time you were also not even in the country at the time that
is true. That is true. Hey, I didn't find out what a fucking video game was until I was 7 when I came to this country.
And that's we're talking Super Nintendo, right?
No, Nintendo. That was 1987. You know, I was like, what is that? Like, you know, when I saw Golden Axe, the arcade cabinet, I'm like, what's that? You know. Anyway, nah. You know, I'm gonna tie this into this other question by Adam Servo. He goes, whatever happened with VR? VR is dead. Let the shit die. I'm done with it, man. Like the fat is fucking. You were never a part of it. You were never a part of it. I was telling people the shit is dead on arrival. I was proven correct. The shit is done. You know.
Yeah, and one thing about because I have a PSVR and it's been collecting dust ever since like day 3.
Yeah, because you have a PSVR.
No, I'm stopping this right now. So you're telling me if he had an Oculus Rift, he would be playing it every day?
I don't know because I don't know what game.
No, you're full of shit right now. He wouldn't be playing
it every day. Like, I don't know what type of games Carlos plays, so I can't say yes to that. Like, if I knew that, hey, Carlos plays like MOBAs, and I know that there's a ton of MOBAs that have VR, then I'd say yes, but I don't know what Carlos plays. Carlos, what type of games do you play?
Name 5 MOBAs that are on VR on Oculus
No,
Rift.
I said if I know what type of games he plays, then I'll say yes. Hence why I said to Carlos, what type of games do you should play? And I'll check on Steam like right now.
I play MOBAs, I play side-scroll 2D platformers, I play first-person shooters, I play platform games, 3D platform
Carlos,
games.
let me ask you, if you had an Oculus Rift or a HTC Vive, would you be playing it more than PlayStation VR? You know you wouldn't, man.
No, more than PSVR, yes, but that's only because of the PC factor. But it wouldn't be that much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They would still be collecting dust.
Yeah, so the reason why
not as much dust.
Yeah, not as much dust.
The reason why I said no is because like when you play games on the PSVR, the games look like crap. Like they look all pixelated and shit because it's like the lower resolution. I think it's like 720p or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
And imagine playing a 720p version of an old 8-bit game, that's not gonna look that good. That's just like imagine. Let me try to get immersed into a stretched out 720p screen on a stretched out 8-bit game. That's just that's not gonna look that good.
Okay, Carlos, are you a fan of the CSM games?
No.
Oh, damn it! Because they're all in VR and PC, like all of them. So if you're a fan of that, and they're like FPS to the hardcore, they're like OG FPS games. Okay, cool. Are you a fan of Rick and Morty?
Yes.
Yeah, they have a VR game on Steam.
Oh shit.
Yes, they do.
That does sound pretty enticing, though.
I'll keep finding them. I'm telling you, all you do, just tell me what type of games you want, and I'll tell you if they're there or not.
All right, Brian, find me some action adventure games, Assassin's Creed, God of War type shit.
See, no matter what I say, you're gonna say no, or I've never heard of that game. I'm not
because they don't meet the criteria. Then
you're gonna say that you have never heard the game. It's not meeting your criteria. There's still games that are there on Steam right now that are selling.
Remember when I asked you in Torrance's years ago, and you guys said Warframe? How is Warframe anything like God of War?
Depends what you mean by God of War.
Come on, man. Nah, bro. Sorry, man.
No, I'm sorry.
You know that's not an action adventure game.
It is an action adventure.
It is. I
know
played
it is. It's a fucking third-person shooter, man.
And Uncharted is not.
Uncharted is an action adventure game with shooting elements in it. It's not a third-person shooter. Understand? We've explained this before, man. This goes back to dudes think that the fighting mechanic is like what the game is. No, it's not. That's just a part of it. But we're getting off track. The point is, I don't think
VR on consoles is dead because PlayStation has a bad habit.
VR on PC is dead. No one's buying that shit anymore.
Do you want me to show you the release schedule for
Brian, remember when we talked about how VR sales have flatlined on PC? We talked about that.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. That means that it's just not getting better. It's just staying the same.
No, it means no one's buying them, dude. That's what it means. It means they're not buying them anymore. They're done. It's dead.
They are still being bought. I don't know what you are talking about. I seriously do not know what you're talking about. It's dead. No, it's just it's just not going off as well as you thought it should be, or it's not blowing up.
It's going exactly as I said it was going to be. It's going exactly as I said it was going to be.
The thing is that a lot of people thought that VR was going to be the future of gaming, but
it isn't.
At least looking at the numbers and looking at the quality of the game.
This is what I mean. People think that VR will blow up. No, it's going to take time.
But again, everybody thought that at the time, and I think I was even saying it too. It's listen, we're talking about the same shit that we were doing in fucking 1990 at the friggin' arcades. You're saying that's going to be something that's going to be a thing. They have to be, even to this day, they still can't figure out something that would work with it other than a walking simulator.
Yeah.
No. There's Elite Dangerous and all the space sims. They were completely fine with it.
But do people really even play
like that?
They don't.
Yes. Oh, see, I'm giving you guys examples. You guys are just dismissing it because you're just
if that's the case, then why isn't it selling in droves? Why isn't it selling in droves?
Because it's not meant to blow up. It's meant to be for the people that want that experience, and not everyone wants that experience. But
the thing is that
that experience is there, and those that are bought
I'm stopping right now. I think we can meet Brian halfway. So you're telling me this is a PS Vita situation, right? It's not dead, but it's there for the people that want it. That's what you're telling us.
No, it's a situation where it's dead on consoles because it's not been supported as well as I think that it should have been.
Check the link I just sent you right there. It's from February of this year, telling you that the only one of these things that are a success is the PSVR. The other ones, HTC Vive, Oculus, they're pretty much done. The early adopters bought them up, and that's it. The shit was that I said the shit was dead on arrival because, like Manny said, it's a fucking gimmick. It always was a gimmick. No one wants to come home after work and put on all this shit on their head to play a game. Nobody wants to do that shit. Some people do, but not the majority of people. You know.
And the thing is, and the funny thing is that Sony said it sold exactly what they wanted to sell. So even they knew that it wasn't a super intense investment.
Yeah.
Oh, and has anybody played? Speaking of which, have you played the new first-person shooter that they made for that yet?
Oh, Farpoint, right?
Yeah.
Again, whatever, you know.
Has anybody played that?
Carlos, man, what about you, man? The first new PSVR game in months, you know.
Everybody's all hungry for VR, but we're not even willing to play fucking Resident Evil in VR.
Yeah, isn't that something, right? That's on PC.
It's actually not on PC because Sony has an exclusive deal for 6 months.
Really? Isn't that interesting? So, Brian, let me ask you this though: so you think or you think VR sales will blow up once that is lifted?
Again, depends by what you mean by blow up.
Yeah.
Because, again, it depends what you mean by blow up.
Like make significant amount of money. That shouldn't be difficult to understand, man.
Yeah, but how much is significant? Like numbers. I need numbers.
1 million. Like 1 million, like $1 million in a month. Will that happen?
No, that's way too much.
Okay, $1 million by the end of the year. I'm just giving you yes.
Possibly so. Yeah, again, possibly so, because there's lots of games on PC that happily support like that type of things. And yes, it's not just walking simulators. There's racing games because there's tons of racing games on PC. There's all the space sims. Really Dangerous is VR compatible. Like right now. What's the other space one? The really big one that's like never coming out.
Oh, Star Citizen.
Star Citizen.
Yep. Star Citizen is
the one that's never coming out
when it does come out. But yeah, like
permanent alpha on VR though.
Fucking stupid. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it is being explored, just not on consoles because it's not being explored that well. I don't know why. I don't care why.
To be honest, it's if you think about it, it's kind of a heck of an investment for something that's just not going to be the main, thing. You know what I mean?
It's a side thing at best.
It's for a side. That's a pretty big investment for something that's just a side thing.
Shit, it's like, come on, man. That's why it failed.
I mean, it's like buying a 3DO and and just saying and being happy with like a few games that are on it.
Yeah. Yeah, VR is always destined to fucking die.
Or the original PlayStation 3. It's for enthusiasts. The PlayStation 3 or the Xbox One is or whatever. It's like buying a new console and saying those consoles are just for enthusiasts and they only have a little couple of games that are compatible with them.
Yeah.
All I know is that GTA 5 has a VR mod, and hey, people love that.
Oh, so it's not official then, right?
No, Rockstar don't care anymore. They have like all the cash in the world. Like, who the fuck do they have to like impress?
Yep. All right. Yeah. Right. Let's move on here. Lunar 1745. Right, Chris. This one's for you, man. Even us for all of us. Will Switch still be selling like hotcakes after he goes Squid Shooter? He's talking about Splatoon. So will it sell? Because Splatoon, like we talking about on Throwdown, is the last major game this system's going to see up until Mario. So will it continue selling like it is now?
No, I don't think so. I think with the just supply issues that Nintendo continues to have, and the remember what I said last time, it's the game sales numbers that they're showing is a mixture of digital sales and ship numbers. So those numbers, that's not what is in people's hands. So when there's an inflation happening with their values that they're reporting. So you could ship to retailers and they could agree to pay in total for 1 million units of Mario Kart, right? And then they'll order more later if it sells. But if they don't move those initially, well, guess what? The next order is going to be smaller. And the next one is smaller after that. So it just keeps deflating when it bubbles, right? That's what happened with the Wii U, and I see it happening again. So after Splatoon 2 comes out, which probably has some high demand for owners of the Switch, and to be fair, that's pretty much one of the few things they have to look forward to this year in terms of the games library. After that, you're going to see it flatline because people will wait. I mean, people have to make a decision during the holidays, and there's going to be a lot. We're coming up on E3. We're going to find out what everybody's going to have coming out for the holidays, right? What the plans are, what Microsoft's plans are around the Scorpio. We'll finally find out what publishers have, and then Sony, and then Bethesda, all Ubisoft, all these guys, what their schedule is. People are going to now make their spending decisions now for the future. So if there's something enticing coming out, if somebody really wants to buy Scorpio, then guess what? They may not use that money for the Switch. So people and people don't have unlimited money. They can't not just go, I'll buy a Switch, I'll buy 2 Switches and a Scorpio. No, I mean, unless you're balling, you're not doing that. So they're going to make critical decisions about what they're looking forward to, what's coming out, and what they're going to grab. If it's like, if it's between Scorpio and Crackdown 3, and let's say, my theory is right about Mario Odyssey. What if it isn't coming out for the holiday? They're going to lose a ton of sales. Then you see sales flatline immediately. So yeah, after Splatoon, you're going to see a trail off. Let's get that. And I wish I had more concrete numbers to give you, but Nintendo is less transparent than they've ever been. So I don't have solid hardware numbers, and neither does anyone else. And everybody's predictions are all over the place. And I'll tell you who's been right. I have. So,
yes.
So don't believe all the hype. Don't believe like when these guys, like Pactor or anyone's like 16 million or whatever. Tony called it out. They can't even produce that many. Yeah. So there ain't no way they're selling that many. So get that right out of there. You have to, stay in the realm of realism. And there's a hole. There's almost a 6-month hole between Splatoon and Mario, or 5 months, right? There's nothing there, and they say they're going to have like third parties filling this void. I have yet to see that schedule, right? I have yet to see a concrete schedule. So I predict those sales are going to flatline, and then what's going to start happening, just like what happened with the Wii U, coming into the second year of its life, was retailers started backing off, and they started making less and less orders. And watch, when you see Nintendo stop reporting those numbers and stop talking about those numbers and start making up something else, they don't have achievements or trophies, so I don't know what else they're going to feed you. But when they stop feeding you that, and Reggie pulls on the bullshit, when he goes 110% spin, and that's when you know they're in trouble. So watch out for that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Manny, I like how you have that sound effect right at the perfect time. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. Chris just nailed it right there. But yeah, by the way, just need to add this though. Kimishima said like he doesn't think they're going to be able to produce even 10 million by the end of this year. So all these analysts running around saying 60 million by the end of the year, even Kimishima doesn't believe that shit.
Right. And when I read the financial report, when he said that, what did I say? I said, there's no way they're going to make that number. And then now he said it. Right. So when they say things, really critically think about it. When anything Reggie says, don't believe it, right? Until you see it. Like I would not. And anytime Kimishima makes a prediction, which this man has been wrong for the last 3 generations, don't listen to him, right? Just wait and see, and use proper predicators, right? Finances are the lifeblood of a company. That's your health meter. Not the numbers they feed you. You have to look at their finances to see if the company is healthy and viable. That is what shareholders and investors look at before they invest, right? That's what banks and systems use before they grant you loans, and at what interest rate they're going to do it. That's how you determine the health of a company. So that's what you need to look at. You follow the money, and when you follow the money, you see how the company is doing. And no matter what they say, they can't lie about that stuff, right? That's where you're going to get the truth.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, man. All right. Next question yours. Another Switch question.
Uh-oh.
All right. I can't even. Okay. Will Destiny 2 ever be on the Switch?
Oh, come on. Really?
Yes. I think a modified version, real dumbed down. Maybe it'll be like a weird stealth. I think they'll try to do it. I'm telling you, if the Switch can sell a certain number, I think just like everything else, there's a threshold, and when you hit a certain number, people throw something at it, even if it's crap. We saw with the Wii. When the Wii came out, remember, games from all over were coming. Most of them were garbage, but it's like everybody wanted to get a game on that platform. So if
Yeah,
the
but
Switch
I,
is-
I doubt Activision would spend Bungie or even hire a secondary studio to kind of pare down Destiny 2 to run on the Switch. They could give them something else like Plants vs Zombies or something. They'd give them that, but they're not going to waste that time. Right?
I would
'Cause,
agree with you on that if it wasn't that they gave us that horrible Call of Duty on the Vita. You know, they gave a third party, said, yeah, go ahead, make something like that. Call of
Yeah,
Duty
but
is a
they
huge
did that.
franchise. It was
They did that on 3DS also. There was Call of Duty on 3DS, and they don't sell either. But there's a huge gap between developing like just a knockoff 3DS game, which is nothing like the console or PC version of Call of Duty, right? It's a completely different thing. But you can't pull that off with Destiny. Like if everybody on consoles is playing Big Boy Destiny and they hand it off to another studio and they make this just like completely different experience that doesn't match what Bungie
It's gonna have
has created.
Mario in it.
Yeah, and it's gonna be
Let's
what
play Destiny.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
Oh, that would be a
Yes,
whole other
Mario.
kettle of fish if they have to.
Awesome.
When they get
Mario.
lawyers involved in that stuff, it's never pretty. Like Activision. would have
Splatoon
to go-
Destiny. Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. I doubt it. I
Yeah, it ain't
highly
happening.
highly
ain't
doubt it.
happening. You know how
Yeah.
much like the resources they would have to start completely from scratch, man. Like there's no way. I mean, why do you think Destiny 2 isn't on last gen consoles, man? Come on, Switch can't handle that
The
shit.
traveler gave me superpower, eh?
Imagine
Yeah,
trying to
but-
fit Destiny 2 onto one of those cartridges.
Yeah,
Oh, exactly.
It'll be
Yeah,
a digital only. It'll be a
but-
digital
And,
only.
and what happens with the 8,000 DLCs that it will inevitably come
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Destiny 2?
yeah, man. Switch owners have already lowered the standards of their systems, man. So they don't really expect more from the Switch.
If you ever heard Brett talk about it,
Mhm, yeah.
he's like, "Well, you're not going to see that sort of stuff on there."
Yeah, I wish Brett was here for that
Which is
one.
funny because I mean, but then at the same breath, he'll say Skyrim's going to be on there. You know, it's always well.
Yeah, like a 10-year-old
Yeah,
game.
We'll see it to believe it, man. Because the only time we saw Skyrim playing on the Switch was a fake
A sizzle
video.
reel.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
it. It wasn't even real. It wasn't
Yeah, it
even
wasn't.
real. They
Yeah,
haven't
exactly.
done anything for it.
Yeah, and the game's like was announced day one since the system was announced, and it's an old ass game, so they're just having to port it, and we still haven't seen anything from it. So, like, take that as you will. Will it even get released? That we haven't heard shit about it.
Yeah. By the way, May, your impression of Brett was hilarious. He sounded like a kid going through puberty.
That's just random. It's just random, like a guy complaining.
Fans don't even want that game.
It's, you ever watch Venture? You watch Venture Bros, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
I'm doing like 21 impression.
Hey
Hey guys, you know that.
Crazy, man. All right. So this shit ain't coming to fucking Switch. Get out of here.
You know
man.
what? You know what the
guys
Switch should
not in
do?
the news?
You know what they should do? They
Wait, what
should
happened?
just.
What?
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
There's a lot of news saying that there's no plans to bring it to Switch for the time being.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
there it
that's what I'm
is.
saying.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to
Insert
bring
Jeff Goldblum. There it is.
some kind of knockoff version if the money's there.
they should do is they should just take old PC games and throw them on there. Like, just like like an old first person shooter, just throw Serious
Ooh,
Sam
throw
on
some
there
Doom on
and
there. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
put
put
Rise
Doom
of
on
the
there.
Triad, the original.
Rise of the
version.
Triad, the original Samurai Warrior game.
Yeah, get Quake 1. I'm sure will
Quake
run on
1.
there.
Yeah, just do those.
All right. Moving on here, Mr. Daniel Lawson. This was directed at Carlos, but we could all jump in. He goes, should owners of the PlayStation Pro and eventually the Scorpio expect better than the shit we're getting now? So, Carlos, you can answer first, man.
Wait, I don't fundamentally understand the question. Should PS4 Pro and Scorpio owners expect more from these systems? So from the games or the systems? Like,
The system, because I think I'm going to base this off of the conversation I was having with him, right? Basically, is let's just be honest, PS4 Pro and probably the Scorpio is going to have compromises, and he's trying to. And I think based on what we were talking about, I think he's trying to say, should people be okay with that? My answer, Carlos, I know I'm cutting you off right now, but my answer was like, listen, if you're buying a console, you better fucking expect compromises. You don't want compromises, you get a good PC.
Yeah,
If you buy listen, I said this on Twitter and I got in trouble for it, right? But it's true. If you are a console owner, you don't have the right to demand PC specs from your shit. I don't think I'm crazy in saying that.
Why would you get in trouble for that? I mean, it's obvious.
I bought it. I deserve to have PC specs.
No, you don't. You don't deserve nothing, because if you want those sorts of specs, then you better be prepared to pay some serious fucking money. We're talking if you don't want 4K, no compromises. Well, maybe you gotta go do like Hip Hop Gamer and buy a $4,000 PC.
Give me your fucking money.
Many $5,000 PC.
$5,000.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, how many Titans does he have in there? That's easily half the cost of the PC.
By the way, we're gonna have Hip Hop Gamer on this episode, next week's episode or this week's episode, because he wants to talk about his PC. But we're not gonna get into it right now. But Carlos, quickly, what's in this shit?
So, like, it's something I've never heard, man. It has 2 GTX 1080s and SLI. Yes, 2 GTX 1080s and SLI on a laptop.
Wait, what?
All that shit,
Brett's
been talking about how like laptops can't handle PCs. This thing kills most PCs out there.
It's like a small mortgage on a house, I swear.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, does he have it hooked to a refrigerator compressor?
It has like a huge ass power. I think it has 2 power supplies or something. It's some ridiculous thing.
It probably has something internal in a brick, man.
Hip Hop Gamer did an unboxing video on his YouTube channel, and I swear to God, he was unboxing the Xbox One.
Oh shit!
By the size of those bricks.
So essentially, is it really? It's I guess it's a portable as much as a console is portable. Because I mean, if you're gonna put that hot ass shit on your lap,
he should have to play that shit outside in Antarctica. But anyway, so that's my thing. It's like, guy, if you bought a console, you better expect compromise. You can't be demanding PC specs. Come on, man, you're being silly right now. So no, you shouldn't be expecting like more from these consoles, because these consoles are limited.
Again, for the price that you're getting these things, in a lot of cases, these companies are selling the console, the current gen. Like when the first Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 came out. Even then, Sony and Microsoft were taking taking a cut off of their profits. They weren't making any money off those first few consoles they were making. Until later on, they were starting to become profitable. But yeah, they were selling them. They were selling them at a lower price than they should have.
Yeah, by the way,
those things were considered advanced. What was it 4 years ago, right?
Yeah. By the way, Daniel explained himself. He goes, basically, he's saying, should gamers he's talking about Prey, for example, right? Prey didn't have pro support. He's like, should gamers be like upset about that? They bought these new consoles for pro enhanced experiences. They're not getting them. So
that's okay. Yes, he should be upset, because that is rather weird. It's like you're paying more and you're getting the same thing. You're kind of being fucked. Like,
well, the thing is,
I don't think that's fair.
Well, the thing is that they never said anywhere that every single game was going to have pro support or have a pro mode.
They didn't say this. They didn't say it directly, but they led you to believe that.
But then again,
they didn't say expect every single game to have pro support.
No, they said from September onward, the games on the system are going to be running for pro, but they didn't say every single game.
They didn't say every single game, and therein lies the expectation. Number one, you buy your PlayStation Pro or your Xbox Scorpio for the possibility that there will be a Scorpio mode or a Pro mode.
Yes.
But then again, in that case, you should be mad at Sony and not Bethesda, because it was Sony who promised that, and Bethesda didn't. They didn't promise. Yeah, they implicitly or didn't really like put it in vague terms where
you assumed that every single game was going to be taking advantage of the Pro.
You can't get mad, but you can't get mad at Bethesda. Get mad at Sony, But yeah, you know what? I'm gonna lean on yes. You should. It's like, because if you bought this new console expecting all this shit, you do kind of have a slight right for it, but at the same time, what is the PS4 Pro at the end of the day? What is it at the end of the day? It's just a souped up PS4, right? So it's not going to be like a mind-blowing thing. Same thing with the Scorpio. It's just a souped up Xbox One. They don't expect to do these miracle things, you know? People need to
like,
lower
change your life.
So you got to think about it like this: like any game that comes out for PC and Xbox and PS3 or PS4, they're essentially the same game. Like you're gonna have higher frame rates, better textures, better lighting, better shading, etc. You know, the enhancements that are going to be done on the consoles are
Not really
done.
enhancements. They're just higher resolutions.
Yeah, their enhancements or lack thereof are going to be done in a way so the performance on that particular platform is at its optimum. So I don't know if you can expect better if you enhance something will detriment the performance of the system, because that's essentially what we're going to get. So yeah, you can expect better, but sometimes most of the times you can't really get better unless they redo the game and make it more efficient.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a good question though. It's like, should you get mad about that? I don't know. You should know what you're getting into first, I guess. You know.
Well, that's the thing though. Like at the press conference when they were showing off that Epic game, I think it was Paragon. They were all like, "Hey, look how great it looks, and it has like improved textures and all sorts." And then, as far as I know, like I haven't seen a game that's actually done that in terms of the PS4 Pro version has like better textures and stuff like that. So I guess if you went in and that is what your expectations were, and you have not got that, then yeah, I'd be mad. Not gonna lie, like that's literally them saying, "Hey," but then at the same time, they didn't enforce it on the developers, so it's kind of like a half and half. It's half Sony's fault, half developers' fault. But then, is it really developers' fault? I don't know.
And it hasn't been forcing it on the consumer either. You don't see ads, get the Pro, get the Pro. Oh, this game runs better on the Pro. They just, put it out there and that was it.
I would have to say that I'm like all the PS3 all the PS4 adverts in general, apart from those for the Slim, have been with the Pro. So any game that's advertised, well, at least here in the UK, well, at least here in London, anytime that I've seen like an advert for a game on PS4, it's always been with the Pro.
Interesting.
Yeah,
because we don't see it that way. It'll just say PlayStation.
We see the Slim one. You never rarely see the Pro.
Really?
We don't. Yeah.
Unless it's them like advertising the Slim, it's always the Pro.
Interesting.
The thing is that I think whenever they do the certain games, like the certain sought after sort of titles, I noticed that they show the other version of the PlayStation. Like they show the Pro version. But the funny thing is that they never say if it is a PlayStation Pro. They just show it next to the console. Like it's usually the big heavy duty games you'll see a Pro sitting next to it, but they never say anything. They never say anything about the SKU of the PlayStation that's sitting there.
Yeah.
And plus, the one thing about it is that the one thing they did is they kind of made both the PlayStation Pro and the regular PlayStation 4 look almost exactly alike.
Yeah.
There's 3 as opposed to 2 tiers.
And Daniel goes, I'm not saying that every game should support it, but you shouldn't be happy if you own a Pro and a new game is just meh on the Pro or even runs worse. There are cases like that too, where they need to be patched afterwards, where they run worse.
In that case, you should expect that.
Also, you got to think about it this way too. Doing these Pro versions of these games also extend development time, so they have to check these things, or sometimes they don't give a shit. I disagree
slightly, and I bring forth the case of The Surge. Like that game is absolutely amazing on Pro. Like they really went above and beyond in some aspects. Like they gave you both a Neo situation where there's a high fidelity mode and a high performance mode. So if you have a Pro, you need to play it as 1080-60 or 4K 30, and that's their options. And that game is made by the same guys that made is it Lords of the Fallen? Came out
which ran shitty on everything.
Yeah, but Yeah, that game did, but this game runs like amazingly well. Like it actually runs better than like most like a large amount of PS4 exclusives. Like there's no frame pacing issues. Like
I think that they,
I have that. There's no drop frame. It's
but,
actually it's
but
an example of like a third party game that runs well and is well optimized. Like,
I think for them it was a different story. I think they wanted to put the effort into making this game run solidly on every platform. But that's not to say that Bethesda was going to do that.
Manner. Yeah, but then they did that in like a timely manner, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Now, I see what Brian's saying.
But I mean,
I do agree with that though. Like,
I was not expecting them to like be or like the game to be like that smooth, but it's oddly smooth on like all platforms.
Yeah, because they took
it's
the
an
effort.
Outlier.
Yeah.
The
thing is, in my opinion, I think every game on the Pro should have the option between 1080 60 and 4K 30. I personally don't think that's unreasonable. But I don't know. By the way,
it is unreasonable.
Is it?
I don't think
because
so.
it doesn't obviously this is not the case most of the time, but like 1080p, like 4K is 4 times the resolution of 1080p, right? You can't really expect it to be half the performance frame rate rise. Just
30 is basic performance on PlayStation. You know that already. That's just the basic frame rate on that.
But I'm saying, assuming that if you scale from 1080p to 4K, that you can get 30 frames per second on every game, I don't think should be the right thing.
What do you mean?
Like you can't expect, like let's say you have a game right now. Let's say GT Sport, right? And let's say it's 1080p and it runs at 60.
Yeah,
you can't expect that game to play at 30 frames per second if you scale up the textures to 4K.
Well, wouldn't the checkerboard shit help with that? Like, okay, you're not exactly 4K. We're just clicking it. You know what I'm saying? Like, wouldn't that help mitigate that?
Oh yeah.
We're not talking about like 4K. We're talking about 4K. As in LAXK.
We can talk about both, because the thing is, unlike what some these Xbox fanboys say, the PlayStation 4 Pro can do 4K, right? But in some instances, like Horizon has to do 4K.
Yeah, well, you know what games do 4K? It's like those little games, like it's that weird that like racers or
the NBA game was in 4K, man. The
NBA game.
But then against an NBA game, that's not really like an extensive game,
Hey, Chris, is there a NBA game on the Switch?
There is. The NBA Jam ripoff.
No, I mean
the one that everybody hates.
Like a 12K, like 16 or something.
No.
Hold on, Chris.
Even though they advertised it with one.
Yeah, Chris, I was going to ask you, is there a basketball game on Switch that I can play with my friends after we stopped playing real basketball?
Yeah, no. That's not there yet, man. And Carlos also cannot play Skyrim on the way to Japan.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't want to go off the rails so much, but my thing is like, again, why are we worried about this 4K shit, man? Most people don't even have 4K TVs,
Yeah,
Hey, Brian, I'm going to say something that will make you happy. Why don't we try to focus on 1440p? That wouldn't that be nice?
About that 60 frames per second life. Like, I don't care the resolution, just give me 60 frames, because like that to me makes more that to me enhances my experience more than high resolutions. And
I agree with Brian. I'm about that 1080 60 life, man. All right. And the last question here, Mr. Barry Burton. He's always in the chat room, but he rarely asks us questions. So he has a question. He goes, I need to throw in a question for Chris tonight because I want to hear non-Nintendo rant. He goes, what did you think? And we could all answer this too. What did you think of the Star Trek Discovery trailer?
Ooh.
Oh, I thought it was generic trash.
I
thought that this is why I have a huge problem with suits, especially guys like Les Moonves, who thinks he knows better than everyone else. CBS is being run by Mumra, basically, and this guy thinks he could just do whatever he wants and stop over a legacy. It looks like one day he saw one of the J.J. Abrams movies playing next to somebody playing Mass Effect Andromeda, and he went, "That's what I want this to look like." And it is like blue filtered generic space show with Star Trek thrown in there. I mean, the whole, the main character, I guess, is the girl who played Sasha in Walking Dead.
By the way, I haven't seen this season of The Walking Dead too much, but I'm like, oh shit, I think they just spoiled the ending of this season by having her in the trailer.
Right.
I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming she fucking dies. Anyway, go on.
Well, wait, go ahead. I was gonna say something later.
Yeah. So if you look at it, like, they do things that look cool, but kind of don't make any sense. Again, like some of the things in the Abrams movie. So
they even have the lens flares.
They have the lens flares. So they definitely wanted that look, like the cinematic look, and it's obvious they spent money on, at least on whatever they showed us. But the designs look bad. They're wearing these like suit-like uniforms, like these jackets and stuff, which don't match with the time period that they're supposed to be in. Their bridge looked like way too big, and I don't know. It just like Enterprise, I think, nailed it, huh?
Also, the bridge is all dark and like ominous looking.
Yes, dark and ominous looking. Like it's not well lit, and it's very cinematic looking. But blue filters over everything. They're doing things that shouldn't. It doesn't fit the time period. Like there's a scene in the trailer where the Vulcan girl, she goes out in a thruster suit. Now they made a big deal about the thruster suit in the motion picture that was brand new, right? So by that time, at the end of the 5-year mission, that's when they got those things. Yet she just jumps out in space and has one. So it's like they're just picking what they want and put it in here.
Yeah, just quickly, you do know this actually takes place in the Abrams universe, right?
No, it takes place in the original series.
It's supposed to be in a Prime universe.
Because when the original things came out, they said, "Oh yeah, it's in the Abrams universe." So that's why I was able to forgive a lot of that bullshit. So I'm like, okay, it's the Abrams universe, whatever. But if it's in the main universe, yeah, that's an atrocity of a fucking trailer and show.
This is supposed to be 10 years or so before the Spock and
so I'll give you some nerdy facts.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up because I could have sworn they said this was in the Abrams universe. So this is after.
I'm coming from that this is in the Prime universe. This is in the main original series universe. So 10 years before Kirk went on the 5-year mission and became captain of the Enterprise, he was serving on the USS Farragut as a lieutenant. Spock was serving as second officer on the Enterprise under Captain Pike. And the uniforms are, if you look at go on Netflix, watch the pilot episode of original series called The Cage, and see the outfits they're wearing. And that's pretty much how these guys should be dressed, unless they have a damn good reason why they're wearing these really dressy jackets and whatnot. Also, there's another fun fact that a lot of people don't know. You see the Cochrane Delta on the badge? So what that is that was the main symbol of the USS Enterprise. So everything before 2270, every ship had their own insignia. That's why in original series, you'd see them meet up with someone from another ship and they'd have a flower or a galaxy symbol or something. Every ship had its own insignia. It was only standardized by the movies that it should be the Delta symbol, the one that the Enterprise had. So they have the Delta symbol, which doesn't make any fucking sense. Every ship should have its own unique insignia. So that's another thing they messed up. Again, this is what happens. The showrunner left, by the way, right?
Yeah, he left early on.
Early on. This is the guy who knew the universe, who had passion for Star Trek or whatever, and he would be able to point out all this shit.
Which show did he go to? Because he said he left to do a different show.
No, he left because there was huge creative problems. There was huge problems with him working there. And he left. I mean, that was just an excuse. That's what they have to say, so they could keep working the business. But there was a lot of drama behind the scenes. So
by the way, Chris, before you move on, I just need to read this. Oh man, now I'm fucking upset. Because again, when I saw that trailer, I'm like, okay, it's the Abrams verse. Whatever, who cares? Do what you need to do. I just read this right now. This series will be set in the prime Star Trek universe, the one from the various television series and the original 10 films, not the rebooted Abrams universe, which will remain separate and still continue on the big screen. Fuck Star Trek Discovery right now. No, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Fuck that show. I'm not watching that shit. Man.
The only thing that I thought was interesting was the fact that they had Michelle Yeoh as the captain. but at the same time, I'm like, oh, she's gonna die.
Yeah,
and it's going to become what's her face from Walking Dead, who's going to become the captain.
And the thing is, we haven't seen the damn Discovery yet. Like the ship they're showing in there is not the Discovery; it's some other ship. So I don't know if Discovery is just a catchy title for this series or if it's actually a ship. I'm totally confused. This told me nothing except that they looked at things and they cherry picked stuff and they threw it in there and they squeezed another series in before original series, which. Everybody remembers what happened with Enterprise. Everybody was fucking pissed, even though I think they did a good job with that show.
Especially the later seasons when they wound up getting the writers, that married couple that does the stories, the novels, the graphic novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Manny, they could either kill her off or put her in a box like they did Pike in the original series.
Put her in that wheelchair.
I feel like she's too famous to be on TV. You know how you can tell, like you knew that Boromir, the what's his face, is gonna die in Game of Thrones because he's just too heavy. It's kind of like seeing like seeing what's it like somebody like Anthony Hopkins in a show like in a show like Westworld. He's not gonna stick around for the whole shit.
Yeah, they're
gonna get rid of him somewhere. They're gonna kill. He kicks it off and then he kicks off. And then it just goes back to what do they call the TV players, which is just the usual suspect you see on TV.
Yeah, so those are my list of problems. Also, the Klingon designs were absolute garbage.
What the hell is that? Did they just redesign them?
Yeah, they look terrible, and I don't know how you fucked that up. They don't even look like the Abrams ones we saw in Into Darkness. They look like roach people, and I'm like, what the fuck is this supposed to be? Like there's that anime, Carlos. What's the one with the roaches on Mars? Terraformers.
Yeah, Terraformers on Mars or something like that. It's called
Terraformers. That the Klingons look like those guys now. What the fuck?
Yeah, they're just abandoning like the entire legacy of Star Trek. So I'm like, why should any fan of the series even watch this shit?
Right, and they're locking behind a paywall. Like after the pilot, you got to pay for CBS All Access to watch the rest of it. So I don't know if Les Moonves has heard of BitTorrent, but he better learn.
It'll be out there. It'll be out there like everything else.
Isn't she supposed to be half Vulcan also?
Yeah, she's.
Because we haven't seen that before. Oh
my God!
What character did they have with emotional tensions fighting between two worlds? Oh wait. Yeah, we did Spock already.
Yep, we did.
But she's a non-Vulcan half-breed. Non-Vulcan looking half-breed.
Well, they also did.
Quick question.
Torres was Klingon.
Torres was Klingon. Yeah. By the way, quick question from Fastback 247: Who controls the canon for Star Trek now?
The problem is it's split between Paramount and CBS. So Paramount has the movie rights to Star Trek. But right now they're only focused on the Abrams stuff, and CBS owns the TV rights, right? So that's why they're doing this in a Prime universe, because really Paramount, they have to go to Paramount and get permission to use anything from the new films. Yeah. So, but they control all of the old series, all of that stuff. So they really control the original canon while Paramount controls the new one. Yeah, you can think of it like that. So it's all locked behind rights.
Yeah, because CBS and Paramount split up not long ago.
Right.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah, fuck that show.
Yeah,
now that I know, fuck that show.
On the trailer, they showed the fucking what's her name, Sasha, like going all crazy. So I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be a fucking episode in Star Trek, just like the original series had a freaking episode where Spock lost his shit.
Yeah, fuck that shit. All right. I think we're pretty much done here, so let's wrap it up. Thank you for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section of this episode here on YouTube or on the Coalition. We'll answer them on next week's show. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, I was your boy, Tony Polanco. Tonight, I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
I'll see you later, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
See you guys in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. My man's going to Japan. Epic, man. Brian Manjoma.
And hopefully by then I should have watched Moonlight.
And Adam Vale.
Later, people.
All right, guys. Next time. Later.